Hello and welcome. You're watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Bugay. First, this hour, the latest developments. Ukrainian local elections on October 25th were held without massive violations. Their ruled violations were not systematic and did not affect the voting results. This was stated by both law enforcement officers and experts. What violations were the most common? Watch in the following report.
More than 5,000 complaints about violations during local elections and 159 criminal proceedings opened. The Minister of Internal Affairs called the Kyiv region the most problematic. Taking into account that 29,000 polling stations worked in Ukraine and more than 10 million people came to vote, the number of violations is relatively low. The criminal cases are initiated against the most harsh violations. One of the most notorious facts is the attack on the Election Commission in the Vinnytsia region. Early Monday morning, 4 people drove up to the polling station and, threatening the members of the commission, tried to take away their ballots. The police officer has made 2 warning shots and has personally detained 3 out of 4 perpetrators. The 4th person has run away. The police officers are now searching for him. We tend to think that this was a conflict on the level of a united territorial community. Bribery and pressure on voters, illegal campaigning and problems with ballots. These violations were recorded by observers of the Committee of Voters of Ukraine. In some places, the ballots either indicated incorrect information about the candidates or they were not on the lists at all. This, according to observers, will not affect the election results in general, but it can cause delays in the delivery of protocols. We expect a considerable amount of judicial proceedings connected with ballots. In general, we think there would be problems with determining the election result in those territorial communities where there were problems with ballot papers. Political analyst says there was no massive use of administrative resource in these elections. When I'm talking about administrative resource, I mean the intervention by the central authorities like President or pro-President's parliamentary majority. If we pay close attention to the processes at local level, we'll see that somewhere the local authorities tried to actively use their powers to provide the result they wanted. In general, local elections in 2020 were competitive and in line with Ukrainian legislation. This is stated in the Opora civil network. According to the legislation, the results of local elections in Ukraine have to be announced by the Central Election Commission before November the 6th. Reported by Vadim Kramer, UATV News.
Ukraine reports 5,426 new coronavirus cases over the past 24 hours. In total, almost 350,000 cases confirmed since the start of pandemic. 142,000 Ukrainians have already recovered. The largest number of infected people was registered in Kyiv, Odessa, Zhytomyr and Lviv regions. Ukraine ranks 10th globally in the number of new daily COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, original Ukrainian COVID-19 vaccine may appear in a year.
This vaccine has shown a complete neutralization of the virus already in living human cells. This is a joint development of our scientists and microbiologists of the Institute of Microbiology of the National Academy of Sciences. Despite the fact that the American companies are involved in the creation of vaccine, the vaccine candidate is Ukrainian. We need to make a long way for a vaccine candidate to become a vaccine. 3 phases of clinical trials should be conducted. Now we are selecting the place for production in Ukraine.
The Belarusian State Security Committee saw signs of terrorism in the actions of the protesters. An attack on the building of the District Department of Internal Affairs during Sunday protests is considered a terrorist attack. Meanwhile, today Belarusians have declared a nationwide strike against the Alexander Lukashenko regime. Details next.
Plant workers across Belarus have announced a full state strike. We are employees of the State Production Association Belarus Neft. We're against violence and lawlessness in the country, and we joined the Republican strike. From the very morning, the plant workers have been trying to block the work of Minsk Tractor Works, Minsk Automobile Plant, and Belkommunmash, a manufacturer of electric public transport vehicles. The law enforcers respond immediately for refusing to take a shift. More than 50 employees of Grodno Azot, a manufacturer of nitrogen compounds and fertilizers, were detained and beaten in a paddy wagons on their way to the District Department of Internal Affairs. Later, they were released. Join us all who is against violence and lawlessness. The educational process in the largest Belarusian universities has stopped. The students went on strike straight from the classrooms. Teachers and security officials tried to stop the students. The latter ones, in turn, responded with sit-down protests and chains of solidarity. By midday, the number of students forced the security forces to retreat. Several thousand young people united with pensioners and marched in a single column across Minsk. According to the Belarusian opposition's plan, the march of students and pensioners was a warning signal before a general protest action. Reported by Vadim Kramer, Nick Starkov, UATV News.
The architectural landmarks come to life in Ukraine. Inventors from Lviv have initiated a pocket country project. They have digitized the outstanding objects of cultural and architectural heritage. From now on, one could download the application and, with the help of special cards, have a look at 40 unique buildings in 3D. More details in the following report.
We start an app, choose an exhibition at the Rynok Square, download the supplement and turn a smartphone to a stand. Yuri decided to develop an app of a kind a year ago. Over the past 12 months, he and his team has traveled through all the regions of Ukraine. They have digitized the most popular landmarks. We understand that not all of the significant monuments in Ukraine have a chance to be renovated this year or in 10 years. But if we manage to record them now, we'll have an opportunity to renovate them in future. 3D objects come with an audio guide in Ukrainian and English. Besides the well-known architectural monuments, they've also digitized several objects in Donbas. This house in Avdiivka goes as a symbol of the people of Donbas who had to leave their homes because of the warfare. We couldn't avoid this topic. Tourists are also testing the application near the stand.
The fortress is now a part of Kamenets Reserve. Very often historic reconstructions take place there. Traditional crafts like bakery and pottery are represented as well.
It's a great app. You can find out a lot just in a couple of moments. I like it a lot. It's very quick.
Besides the stands, project developers have also made special cards, turning the buildings on them into 3D objects.
Baron Stengel's castle, named after the first owner of the building, a well-known oil industrialist.
People from diaspora often address us. They want to see their Lviv or Chortkiv or Kyiv, Odessa, Kharkiv, cities they once left. They are pleased to get a piece of their home. These cards are free and are distributed by all tourist information centers in the city. Unfortunately, there are fewer tourists now, therefore we suggest them 3D postcards as a kind of attraction. They could leave it or send their friends and relatives. These cards are distributed free of charge. The developers plan to improve the application and expand the number of digitized objects of cultural and architectural significance shown. Reported by Vadim Kramer, UATV News.
Learning history in the museum, students of the Volodymyr Dahl East Ukrainian National University are able to study the Paleolithic and Bronze Age using real artifacts. The exposition contains unique archaeological finds. Our correspondent knows more.
Tools of the late Paleolithic era, fragments of Neolithic dishes, household items and weapons of the late Bronze and early Iron Ages. All these exhibits were brought from excavations from different parts of the Luhansk region. For example, this ceramics was found in a children's burial. Then there was even one case of a guy's burial. Let's say there was this and another vessel. We have something from the Sumerian period between 9th and 7th centuries BC. The archaeological remains of the Sumerians, the first historical people who are known in written sources. This is a rarity. Students archaeologists found Sumerian arrowheads, sword fragments, jewelry and pectoral crosses in the Luhansk region. Our oldest ones are 20,000 years old. They belong to the late Paleolithic era. Literally all historical periods, the era of the Copper Stone Age, the Bronze Age. That is time when the pyramids were being built in Egypt. Civilizations appeared. The territory was very densely populated here. The museum located on the territory of the Volodymyr Dahl East Ukrainian National University was founded 2 years ago. But the exposition was opened for everyone just recently. There will be classes for archaeologists as well as school children and university students.
You can come here and see what you're learning. You see an object with your own eyes, you know what shape it is, how it looks, and it is no longer a surprise when during excavation you dig and ask yourself, what is it?
The empty shelves of the museum will soon be replenished with new archaeological finds. Reported by Volodymyr, UATV News.
They are our living history and keepers of family traditions, grannies. This is how Ukrainian artist Yulia Levitska called her art exhibition, 23 paintings depicting the life of modern women living in the villages are exhibited in Kyiv. Our correspondent found out what inspired the artist to paint elderly women.
Yulia Levitska began painting pictures for this exhibition 10 years ago. The first model of the artist was her own grandmother Valentina from the village in the Mykolaiv region. Here is the painting called My Grandmother Treats Herself with Ice Cream.
With
one right hand she holds a spoon to eat ice cream, and with her left she holds a glass, but her left hand was almost disabled. She was very pleased when we talked to her and bought ice cream.
Later, friends and fellow villagers of Yulia's grandmother became models for her paintings. Here is Olga painted in different moods. The so-called granny experts, the youngest visitors of the exhibition, disagreed on which of the two portraits was better. Asya likes her grandmother Olga feeling angry and displeased.
This one, such an angry grandmother. Why? Because I love everyone who is serious.
Mikita, in turn, likes the one where Granny calmly drinks a glass of liquor on the occasion of her birthday. Because she is happy and has a drink.
What do you think she drinks?
Juice. The artist paints mainly in alla prima technique. However, when creating these paintings, she added bright colors of acrylic paints to oil painting, in order to better convey the vivid character of her models.
Elderly women living in a village enjoy life to the last. I notice such a side of their character. Even when they get through sadness and sorrow, if there is a holiday, they will celebrate it for sure.
The artist's grandmother died a year ago. This exhibition was created in memory of her and as a reminder to all of us to devote more time to our loved ones, while there is such an opportunity. Reported by Volodymyr, UATV News.
That was our final story this hour. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter pages.